one of the four of you to tell me how, when and how do you induce a pinch off? Hello? Nobody wants to respond?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, we can see that there is a drop of voltage what we have applied from source to drain end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as we keep on increasing VDS, so the drop reduction is going to decrease at the drain part.
Where you will see the drop?
From gate to source, we can see that there is no drop. The source will be connected VDS. If you if you see D is more potential, D is having more positive compared to source.
Okay.
So the potential drop will be linear. It will be like it will be drop will be reduced from source to drain when you consider.
No, where is the drop having? Where is the voltage drop that you're mentioning here? That is the key point here. That is the key understanding. You're saying voltage drop.
From gate to source, there will be drops here.
No, that is understanding in a schematic way. Now tell me how in the channel form. That is how commonly people understand that, okay, there will be a drop across the voltage, it is understandable. But how does it, where do you see the voltage drop here? What causes the voltage drop?
Across the channel, we will see the voltage drop.
Right, but why do you see a voltage drop?
Here, when we, for example, first we assume source and drain are connected to ground.
Okay.
Nothing is connected. So as current is not flowing, we can see that potential between gate and channel will be constant throughout the channel.
Okay.
That's the first point. But when we try to, so initially the from under the gate inside the channel, the potential is constant if nothing voltage is applied. When drain to source voltage is applied, if you consider a resistor, we can see that drop will be there across the resistor.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we apply the same concept here across the channel, we can see that at the source, we can assume that drain to source will be at zero potential, and drain will be at positive potential.
Okay.
We can then we can say that this is similar to a resistor as channel is formed after forming the channel.
Okay.
So when channel is formed, as drain is having
the field is created by the electrons, right? So when the electrons move away, how is the field going to get affected? Why is it not going to the drain side?
I think there's higher potential. No, that will push this thing.
Why only source and why not drain? See, you have to understand that CMOS, this particular device, the source and the drain can be flipped their operation in any way.
Yes.
Yes, right. So with that into understanding, that is a clue to give it to you. So why is it going only to source? Why not to the drain? Right, these are the common interview questions. So,
yes.
Okay. So see, this is where a fundamental understanding of a MOS device is needed. Because unless you know this designing, you will not understand the finer points of a circuit design. It will be tough to follow. Okay. Now let us see where it is going to come. So next round we will ask Kalyan to answer. Okay. So this is the next question I would ask. So if you continue to increase VDS after the channel is pitched off, does the drain current actually begin to decrease? Right? That is the logic that you are following. That the field will reduce, and if the field reduces, the current also should technically decrease, right? That is not the case. So
yes.
Right. So we further increase VDS, drain current will remain unchanged. So what is the constant with respect to that? So what is the other factor which is allowing more current to flow through?
So one factor which it is allowing is the effective channel length is decreased.
Right.
So resistance we can say rho L by A. So when length is decreased, then resistance is decreased. We can expect more current will flow. That is the first point.
Okay.
Okay. And later on, we can see that there is a pinch off. Means there is no channel from that pinch off to the drain.
Right.
So this is in because we will form some depletion reverse bias where higher electric field will be generated at that point.
Right.
So whenever there is a probability of electron to reach end of the channel, the electric field will have a higher force to pull out that electron and send it to the drain. So this is the transition which is going on there. And one current is increasing because effective channel length is decreasing. And other thing is the transaction of electron from the channel to drain can be possible because of this higher electric field which was introduced at the drain end.
Good. Now, but what happens is when you are during pinch off or after pinch off, what happens is for sending the same amount of current, you'll have to apply a larger amount of potential or a field length, right? Since
Yes,
the
sir.
channel is coming off, the resistance is reduced, and the area and the channel gets pinched off. So there will be physically the channel will not be connected to the drain, but still current will go. In that case, you have to apply a higher potential. So where is the higher potential being added? Because after certain amount of time, no amount of VDS increase will help you in increase in the current value. Is it not? So now we will see in the next slide what happens. We'll see the answer to that.
No, actually, the drop which we are giving from drain to source, that will be dropped across that reverse bias which is formed between pinch off channel and the drain.
So in this particular graph, we will show you what is happening, right? So there are three regions of operation which you could define depending on the VDS. So one thing we know is with the constant, ID will get constant with regards to how much is the VDS that is through. So VDS is directly proportional to the amount of channel resistance that is formed at that point of time. So beyond a certain amount of time, the resistor will act like a current limiting resistor which keeps the current constant. That is where you typically call where is your constant operation region. Now there is another region where your ID is directly proportional to small VDS. Small values of VDS will act like a resistor, which is typically called your linear range of operation. But there is one region before the pinch off where increasing the VDS actually reduces the channel conductivity, meaning it increases the resistance. So it will start flattening out at one point of time. That region is where you are slowly physically distancing from your channel, from your source to drain. This physical distancing point is where when you start slowly getting out, at one particular point you will see no amount of further charge that can be transferred is where your pinch off point can be defined. Understood? Any doubts on this one? Okay.
Hello.
There are no doubts.
Actually, can you explain from case 3? So, what are the exact reasons why that tapering occurs?
Like Trinath just Trinath just explained that, right? So why does the tapering occur? The tapering occurs is because when you are applying a difference potential. So basically asking me to answer your question, Srijan, very intelligent way. This is what I asked you. Why is it going from source to drain? Intelligently reformatting the question, putting back to me. Okay. So let's go back and see case 3. Okay. Where is your case 3? Now. Sujit, so now I will ask you to tell me, why don't, we'll do this so that it is interactive, it will not get boring.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sujit, we will bring you back on. So what did you not understand here in case 3?
No, case 3 is very clear to me. So case 3, I understand it pretty well with
Okay.
respect to the linear operation of the this device when it is
Okay.
in when the VDS is not greater than VGS minus VTH. So
Okay.
problem is when the pinch off occurs. So
Okay.
how is tapering only at the drain end? If I interchange the potential also,
Mm-hmm.
will it act the same?
Very good. So this was exactly my question to you. So now I'm asking is now how no when you interchange, what happens? How is the PN junction responding? Suppose okay, you have started tapering this, and from this point of tapering, you swap the polarities. Okay, you make the drain the source and make the source the drain. What happens in that case?
Initially, my VG, first of all, if I'm applying potential at the source end, if it is greater
Right.
than 0, so my first of all, if I'm assuming the gate is, let us take an example of voltage. If gate voltage is at 5 volts and I'm increasing the source potential, so my
Okay.
VGS is decreasing. That is the first
Okay.
case. So
Mm-hmm.
if that goes, the difference VGS goes below VTS, so the transistor will turn off.
Okay.
That is one. So if
Okay.
my drain is at 0, so my VDS, what is VDS is negative.
Right. So what happens when VDS is negative?
If VDS is negative, uh, if I'm assuming the channel is already formed.
Channel cannot be formed when VDS is negative, right? Your PN
Yes,
junction is then reverse biased. So where is your
yes,
channel then?
yeah, that is what. If it is VDS becomes negative, there's no channel formation at all.
Right. Okay. Then
So if that is the case, there's no operation of the MOSFET. So it is indirectly two reverse biased diodes connected.
so what do you have to do further to make it a channel?
For the negative channel, what I can do is,
You make it positive, right? It is
yeah,
negative. Fine. You slowly start increasing drain so that it first becomes zero, where you know
yes,
that it will come. Then again you slowly keep increasing the VDS, right? So you will have your linear range of operation. When the linear range comes in, then you will again have the channel formation to happen, right?
yes,
Once the channel is formed, then you do. So that is why you should be able to understand that in both cases, things can be done, and when and where you can be able to swap the device also.
yes,
Okay, so this is going to be very critical when you are doing switching regulators, because you are going to switch, right? Your gate value will switch between values will start switching each other, especially when you are working with power management circuits or in LDOs or an SMPS device. When you start switching, you will have your VGS going up and down.
yes,
So you need to know when the channel will form and when the channel will not form. And with that, you will understand how much of a resistance is there. Okay, that is why you are having the switching regulators do not have a 100% efficiency. Okay, some amount of loss is lost due to this switching action and the amount of resistance that is going to be formed. So turning on the channel, turning off the channel needs some amount of energy to be utilized. Okay,
yes,
so this is one point that you should remember. Impact, where it can happen. It is because of this that the LDO designs and your switching regulator designs will have an issue with regards to channel formation due to the applied potential at the gate, not just at the drain and source. Okay, remember this when we come to that particular section. Okay, so now so at this particular graph which says so now you understood what was the pinch off point. How do you
Sir,
come across?
actually, I have still that one in saturation region. So where at the source side you have the channel layer is much more than the drain side, no?
Mm-hmm.
So can you explain that reasoning behind that?
Reasoning is fairly simple. Exactly what you said. When the charges are going to the source, when you apply, what is the difference of potential that is applied? Right? When you are literally now right now overpowering the channel.
Okay.
There is more number of the. Now it depends. Okay, suppose you apply to a drain, you apply a higher source potential, or sorry, higher voltage potential. You are trying to form a small kind of a capacitor there, right? Two metal plates. Or two metal plates. So when you keep adding the more amount of charge in one place, other one keeps reducing. Now the channel will be formed at the negative plate, which is the source plate, because you are overpowering it. And since the capacitor is higher, there is only so much capacitance that it can fill, or only so much charge that it can fill up. Once the charge is filled up, it will give a constant variation. So you are actually seeing a resistive action and a capacitive action over here. Trinath only mentioned the resistive action. The other reason
My
for
doubt
why the
is
channel will only develop at the source is the capacitive action.
no. My doubt is like so when you increase the voltage at the drain, no, it is positive voltage, but the channel is formed by
Yeah,
the
that's it.
negative electrons.
I lost you. Can you repeat your question again?
Yeah. So when I increase the
I
drain voltage,
lost you again. Can you just repeat it again?
yeah, let us say my drain voltage is positive. I'm increasing positively.
Okay.
So channel
Okay.
which is negative, so it is electrons, no? So it has to attract, right?
Channel is never negative, right? How can you form a negative? That's what I said. When it is
So
negative,
holes are
it's
moving
straight
out
away
and only
lost.
electrons are
Channel is
remaining.
broken off.
No, I mean,
Where are the holes?
so P substrate has majority of holes, no? So when you apply the gate voltage, that holes are moving down and you have only the negative charge remaining there. So when you apply the positive voltage at the drain, all this negative charge gets attracted towards drain, no? Instead of source. Why at source we can see higher distribution? That was my question.
Yeah, that is because what now that is the reference of where you have your threshold voltage. So where the amount of energy that you need to add to increase the threshold voltage, your pinch off will occur there. So as the VTH is higher in one side, your for example, what is your VGS minus VTH? So as the VGS minus VTH increases, the pinch off will further increase. The depletion region will started growing up. So the gate voltage, gate substrate voltage difference will come into picture. Gate substrate voltage difference. Okay. So that is your PMOS device. So when that comes into the picture, you will get your depletion region.
Yes. Yes.
So wherever your gate substrate is higher, you will have the voltage gate coming there. Difference where it is higher, it will be there. So for example, if your gate substrate voltage is high, meaning the difference will be small.
Yes.
So you will have less amount of charge at the drain side and more at the source side.
Okay.
Understood?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So that is how we understand when things are going into saturation, which is your when ID is constant with VDS is when you will go into the saturation. So let us quickly summarize this one, and we will see what are the regions that we are looking at. So the cutoff region is defined as when VGS minus VT is less than 0. That is, no channel is induced and no inversion layer is also created. You cannot call this negative channel, okay, but it is in effect going to be similar. So ID is also 0. Next is when you create a channel where you are having a triode region, or instead of triode, I would call it a linear region. So when your channel is introduced, but the value of VDS is not large enough to pinch this channel. Since it is not pinched, a depletion layer is not formed. Okay, and this is said to be in the linear region of operation. Further, lastly, the saturation region comes in when an induced channel is present. That is when the depletion region occurs. That is with two conditions. One, VGS minus VT is greater than 0 and value of VDS is greater than VD. And it is large enough to pinch off this channel. So this is said to be the saturation region. Now, we have now understood what is what is the NMOS device. We will quickly refer what are the differences between PMOS and what is the finally becomes a CMOS device. So the structure of PMOS device is essentially same as NMOS, except wherever there was an N-type silicon, there is now a P-type silicon. And wherever there was a P-type silicon is now an N-type silicon. But when you do a fabrication, you cannot have two kinds of substrates, right? Your silicon wafer is going to be single one. So which one do you choose? They will typically choose a P-type substrate. So your NMOS devices will be the easily formed. So what you will do is the entire P channel or the P device structure is now taken and placed within an N well, because you need an N well with a substrate point. So you will take and the P well or the channel that is going to be formed is between the P substrate and the N substrate. So you will have two heavily doped P wells beneath the source and the drain. So for people who are not able to follow it, we will refer to this diagram. So in this particular diagram, you see an N plus heavily doped N plus region and heavily doped N plus region for the source and drain, and a moderately doped P-type substrate. For an PMOS device, this P-type substrate will become an N substrate, and this N plus devices will become P plus device. Now, this entire structure is now placed within an N well, which then makes the N well becomes the N-type substrate, and these two devices become the source and drain regions in the system. So that is how you are able to manufacture, and that is how you will appreciate that when you do a layout, after placing the devices, all the PMOS devices are placed within the N well. So that is something that you will see when you are your DRC and LVS come up, that N well is where the entire substrate is, entire PMOS device is present, and there is a requirement that the N wells have to be physically isolated for a particular distance. The physical isolation is needed because you do not want the PN junctions between these N wells also to come into disturbance, because N well is placed within the P substrate, so you will have a PN junction there and another PN junction there. So if these two come close, you will have PN junctions formed here also, and then this is typically leads to breakdown of the system. So that is why in your in your DRC, in your design rule check, they will check what is the minimum distance between the two devices and two wells that are present. Okay, otherwise you will have what you will typically occur is a DRC error. How do you resolve it? Two ways. Either put both these L wells in a single N well such that now they form a single potential base, or give them physical distance between them. Okay, so that is how a PMOS is built. Now, when do you build a CMOS? When on a single substrate, when you have both PMOS and NMOS present on the same fabrication technology, then it becomes a complementary MOSFET, where you have it is done as a pair of NMOS and PMOS can be generated. So this is what I was talking about. So you will have a CMOS when you have complete operation. You will have an entire P-type body and N plus and P plus doping regions for an NMOS, whereas you will first build an N well. Within that N well, you will add a P-type and highly doped P-type regions to act as your drain and source terminals. Kindly notice that there is a thick SiO2 isolation layer that is present here. Now this is, people have done the layout. Which particular layer? I think Trinath and okay, Robin, Trinath, everybody has done layout. How do you identify the thick SiO2 isolation in your DRC? You at least you two have done some layout before in your master's work or in your office work. So how do you identify this thick SiO2 isolation layer in the CAD form or when you're drawing a layout?
Hi, I'm Robin here, sir.
Yes, Rob.
So actually, I never worked with PMOS devices earlier. I worked with the miss at high frequencies. For designing power amplifiers and like, so I always worked with NMOS. So never worked with PMOS and miss, name process name was okay. CMOS 65 nanometer, 90 nanometer, but I never used PMOS in that. I always worked with NMOS only.
Okay. In your power amplifier, did you use a physical resistor anywhere?
Physical resistor I used.
Right. Now, this resistor, how was it built? Because it is built using something similar way only. So how is this? This resistor is a polysilicon resistor, right?
Polysilicon resistor, correct.
So the polysilicon resistor is similar to way the PMOS is built. So what is the difference between a PMOS construction and a polysilicon construction?
No, I don't know what is the difference. I just use it as a black box. Okay, this much resistance I want. Okay, I will change the parameters. But how that is made from fabrication perspective, I don't know.
So when you're doing this in your particular PMOS, do you have an NVEL device or it doesn't have an NVEL? For example, if you look at the 65 nanometer process, you either have a white box in your PMOS resistor and you have a white box in your resistor and the PMOS. So that white box is an NVEL. Did you find an NVEL in your PMOS device, your resistor device?
I don't remember exactly.
This is something that you have to observe. When you're doing a layout, this is something you have to be observant of it. Okay, so like how you do in your power amplifier. Another thing is, see, in that particular resistor, does the resistor have how many terminals is there in your resistor that you remember? You are able to remember? You know, resistor is a two-terminal device, but how many terminals is actually there in the schematic?
Schematic 2 only.
Okay. So then, are you sure it is a polysilicon one? Because a polysilicon one will have 3 terminals, right?
Okay, maybe then it was 2 terminal. That much I am sure. Sometime it is manufactured with polysilicon. Sometime with nitride layer. They other nitride layer they got it fabricated. So actually, what they use, that is what I am not much bothered earlier.
Yeah. So if you use the polysilicon layer, you will see it is on the if you use the silicon nitride, which is a nitride layer, that will be present on your NMOS devices. But you will have an additional, along with that salicide layer is what they call. When you miss the salicide layer present, you will not have the third terminal connection. So it is inherently connected to the body bias on itself. If it is placed in NVEL, you will have a third terminal. If it is not placed in NVEL, it will have a 2 terminals only. Right?
Okay.
So the reason you have a third terminal in a resistor is because it is placed within an NVEL, and so that you need to bias it and keep it to the VDD, so that you understand that there is no effects of, that is the isolation that is generated. So the NVEL, how do you provide that isolation? Along with giving a supply connection, you'll actually have a physical SiO2 put between the 2 devices to isolate them. So what is a thick SiO2? It can either be a trench or it can be a large cap-like device where you have a thick SiO2 present.
One more question I have here.
Yes.
In this particular slide, see, for NMOS we have to connect the PMOS or this well to for NMOS we have to connect the P well to the lowest terminal.
Yes.
Am I right?
For NMOS, you will connect the P-type to the lowest terminal.
Lowest.
PMOS for PMOS is placed in an N-well, and that N-well is always connected to the highest voltage in the.
So then this N-well and P-well, these will also be like some diode formation will be there, and how to compensate for those characteristics?
So your N is high voltage, right? So N is connected to high. P is connected to low voltage. So what happens in a PN junction when your P is connected low and N is connected high.
It is reverse bias.
Reverse bias. That is the intention of keeping such that there is no conduction between these two. So you'll have a reverse bias connection, and because of that reverse bias connection, you'll have some amount of small capacitance present there. Okay, right? Okay.
So this is that much only. This is sufficient for ensuring no perfect accuracy between the two wells, P well and N well.
There might be there are two reasons it can play. It is because either to avoid communication between the two wells or charge sharing between the two wells, or to avoid any other noise isolation, to create to avoid any thermal effects, to create any leakage points. So this is an overall effect taken to work on these points.